Alrighty, another live stream. So, of course, with the title here, we're going to be checking out this Towa digital attention gauge, and these are for something like this is for the elite embroiderers or people who sew for a living and stuff like that. I don't, but I wanted one of these things because I got one of them issues where you just can't get it quite right. You can get it to work uh, reliably, but it's not perfect because you don't have a nice little number to go by, and that's the one of the small issues about embroidery machines, especially the single needle home machines. There's no real dial on the bobbin case, and that's what we're dealing with the tension situation. Is the just can't get it right because you don't have a number. So I looked around on several different places on if there's a way to set it, or of course there's a lot of ways. The cheapest is just trial and error and just keep milling around and practicing and stuff like that. But it takes time, and basically you got to have a lot of scrap fabric and stuff like that. And then because embroidery, the programming, when it's doing its thing, it sort of changes the tension on the top side because it's digital, because there's no physical um, like dials or anything like that. It's all done electronically. So depending on what the needle is doing and what kind of design it's doing and stuff like that, it kind of adjusts the tension on its own. So I was able to get by of trial and error and having things done. It's not perfect, but it's acceptable. But you never know. So like I said, I looked around for see what's available, and there's three different kinds. So the simplest one is kind of like a spring tension, kind of like a torque tension thing there, where the more you pull it, the it gives you a reading and stuff like that. And then there's a basic tension gauge where it uses an analog needle and stuff like that, and that all is dependent on tension, on how much you pull it. It's got you're probably gonna have a steady pull on it to get an accurate reading, but we might as well go for the elite and go right for the top of the dog and top of the line. So I got this Towa bobbin case digital tension gauge. So we'll go over to the website here where I got it from, because this is the only place that sells this particular tension gauge with the bobbin case adapter, because this particular tension gauge it's meant for your a certain kind of tension. I mean, not a tension gauge, but a bobbin case. So we're dealing with a home style machine, so it has a drop-in bobbin case. So it basically goes from the top bottom, but this tension gauge is for the bobbin cases that go in vertically. So it's a lot like a sewing machine, an old school sewing machine type bobbin case. So of course, automatically you see the price for this thing. Yeah, it's $200. Well, guess what? It's well worth the cost, because I already ruined about over $120 worth of shirts trying to screw around getting the tension right. So this is the place that sells it. So it's in Australia. Like I said in last week's streams, that I got another package from Australia. So this is where it come from. And yes, this Towa tension gauge is sold in other places, but like I said earlier, it doesn't have the particular bobbin case adapter that I need. Yeah, I could have went and bought a less expensive, but the same tension gauge. But then I would have to find someone who made the 3D printed bobbin case adapter, or there is a file available, then you got to find somebody who can print it out for you. So I just went and just um, bought it all in one place. So measure thread tension with ease using the Towa digital tension gauge, and of course you can read on uh, for the features to this with a precise LED readout. Was That's what I was looking for. And then of course, like I said, this one comes with a what's included. So it comes with the L style push-in adapter for Brother and Janome. So that's what I need for mine. And then you got an adapter for Husqvarna and Path. So here's the Path and the Brother, and this is the one that is for your regular bobbin case. Of course, this one is you can purchase separately. So we're looking at the Path, so it looks like that. And of course, if you have a Brother machine, it looks like this one. So you see it right off the bat. And then this is what I call the traditional bobbin case, where it goes in through vertically or front to back. So that's how the professional machines are. And then it says right here, Gary's tip. So that's who makes the YouTube videos for this particular storefront. It says having the correct bobbin tension is probably the most important requirement to achieve well-balanced stitch. Machines of almost every brand allow the user to adjust the tension with a screw in the bobbin case. Different brands of bobbin thread can result in different tensions. That's very true, because sometimes depending on what kind of brand you got and thread that you got affects the tension gauge or tension on your bobbin case. So the tension gauge makes it very easy to measure your tension and set ideal range from anywhere from 25 to 40 grams. So usually from what this guy says, and he set his Brother machines to be about 25 grams of tension. And remember, when adjusting the bobbin tension screw, to only ever turn a quarter turn at a time. So a quarter a turn sometimes makes very fine adjustments, and sometimes it can make very aggressive tension setups and stuff like that. So this is a little guide here of what the tension should look like on the underside, and this all depends on what the machine is doing. So something like this right here, it's a little bit too much bobbin thread shown on the bottom side. And then, as you increase the tension, it gets a little bit better. And so this is still a little bit much of bobbin thread, but you see how when things are going horizontally, how the bobbin tension looks a little different on the top side. So going from left to right versus top to down, how the bobbin tension changes. And that's through the like I said earlier, what the machine is doing, depending on what it's stitching. So this is kind of like ideal between the two of these, ideal bobbin, what it should look like on the underneath. And then of course, when you got way too much tension, it pulls all the top thread on the bottom side. It gets a little puckering and stuff like that on the top side. So that's basically what we're looking for. So we're looking anywhere, between, somewhere in this area and somewhere in this area. So for the Brother machines, we're looking for a minimum of about 25 grams of tension on the bobbin case. So if you want one of these nice tension gauges, this is the only place that sells the combination of the two. Of the tension gauge and the bobbin case adapter. So here it is in the packaging. I have yet to open it up, so we'll check it out and see it for the first time. So here is the various adapters. This one is for the Brother and Janome, so we'll be using that one. And of course, this one is if you have a PAF. So we'll set that one off to the side. And we'll get rid of this nice crinkly packaging. And then we'll open this tension gauge up for the first time. Of course, YouTube being Sunday morning, everybody is online. So I know sometimes when the this message comes up on the tubes here, usually the replay is pretty good. I haven't seen any buffering, so that's on basically YouTube's end. They can't get their act together. So here's the instructions for the bobbin case, and of course it's in a couple of different languages. So we're going to be using this, and then we're going to have to follow this guide here. So probably what I'm going to do is take a marker and make this drawing diagram on the machine itself. And then we'll go from there. So here's the unit itself. And of course, here is our traditional bobbin case that comes with this particular meter. So we're going to have to take this out and install the this little guy here. So all he has held on was some clips. So we'll take the clips off and see if we can jockey this little guy out. So he just pushes in, so the clips just push in, and we'll just pop him out. So that's easy enough. And then this thing is keyed, so it really can only go in one way as I drop it. I think it goes in this way. Which I could be wrong too, but it's easy enough to pop out. Maybe it don't go in that way. Maybe it goes in this way. Yep, that feels better. So the notch goes closest to the pulley. So that is that. So now the only other thing to do is to put some batteries in it. So it looks like AAA. Is it AAA? I think it is. Or maybe, no, it's AAA. We'll put some AAA batteries in it. And I like to use the Energizer Industrial. Had videos on that of why I like them, because they got the it's just like an alkaline, but they got the character of a lithium. So if you don't want to spend the money for lithium batteries, which they are quite pricey, these are the best alternatives, where you get the temperature advantage of a lithium, but you get the character of an alkaline. So based on the instructions here, our bobbin case, our threads are going to be coming out of our bobbin case through here. It's going to go around this pulley, and then it's going to go up and around this pulley, down this pulley, up around this little guy, and then comes out underneath here. There's a little pin here. So we'll get a little marker here, because it's easy enough to forget how it should thread through here. So we'll just make some little marks on here. We'll make a nice little, I probably should have a paint marker, but it doesn't really show up that well. I would figure the gray Sharpie would come up a little better, but I guess not. So how about we use a paint marker to make our little marks here. We'll see how well this is doing. It's been a while since I used this. So it's probably maybe even dried up. I don't know. There we go. So we'll use this little paint marker here, and we'll go like this, something like that. So it comes out through here. It's got to go up through this one. And it's going to go around. So we'll kind of make a little mark. Like that. Then it's got to go around this one. And then back up this way. And then out through this side. So that takes care of that. And then we can get rid of the destructions here. So let's go out to the machine and retrieve the bobbin case. So there's the machine. So we'll go over to it and get the bobbin case out and a bobbin. So all I gotta do is just pop the little lever here, and this will pop up, and then take this off, and then we can just reach in and grab the bobbin case, and then we'll grab a bobbin, and we'll come back to the other room. Back here at the gauge here. So now we got to do is thread up the bobbin just like you're going to do in the machine. So the machine is like that. So we got to get our thread into that little slot. So we're going to have the thread coming down on the left side, and it's going to unspool counterclockwise. So we're going to stick the bobbin in there. And now we got to get it in the tension spring. So we'll get it in there. And you'll feel it click in there. So it's threaded up just like it would be in the machine, which does it automatically when you thread it. So now all we got to do is put it in the machine here. So first what we'll do is turn this on. And this is a, you got to push and hold until it boots up. So now it's ready to go. And then you got two features here. You can change the setting for MN and GF. So we're going to put on G. By default, it stays like that. So that's grams. And our little slot here. So this slot here on the adapter is going to meet with this slot on the bobbin case. So that just drops in like that. And then we will go ahead and thread it through the tension gauge here. So here's my current tension, and of course this all varies on how well you pull it. So we're going to go at a nice steady pace. So it looks like we're about 36, 37, 38. It all depends on how you pull it. So with me monkeying around with the tension, we can see that it's not really set right. So, and I think this little guy, yeah, he does have a cutter. So we don't have to constantly take it out and all other good stuff. So we can cut it off. And we have nice access to our tension screw here. So there's two screws here. You'll see a crossed screw and the flat screw. Never touch the cross screw or the Phillips screw. You mess with that, you're in big trouble, and you might as well just say scrap it and get another bobbin case, because you'll most likely, if that's ever adjusted or accidentally moved, you probably never get it back to where it was. So our adjustment screw is this little slotted one. So that's the one we're going to monkey with. And of course, the machine has the right size screw for adjusting that. So let me go get that little screwdriver, because I don't think this one that I have here is a little bit too big. So let me get that one. Because this screwdriver has really got a really very tiny blade on it. So our tension was a little high. It was in the high 30s. So we're going to back this off counterclockwise to loosen the screw. We're going to do a quarter turn at a time. So there's our quarter turn. And then we can test it again. So we'll go around this little guy. Now we're about 30 or so. So we're getting closer. But we want to hit that nice mark between somewhere about 25. So that's what that Gary usually sets his at. So, you know, between 25 and 30 is a pretty good tension for the Brother machine. So we'll back this off another 1/8 of a turn, and we'll see what it does. See how well it does. We're about 27. So we're almost there. So we're going to go just a tick more. And that really didn't adjust much, so we'll go a little bit more. So now we're right where we need to be. And that all depends on how you pull it. So if you pull it really hard, you can make the tension increase. But we're going to kind of guess about how well the machine feeds itself. So we're going to go about like that. So it might be like a revolution per second or something like that. I would guess. I really don't know. Of course, as the spool winds down, it's going to turn faster as the thread runs out. So a nice little gadget. It is, to me, this is a tool. So I don't have a problem of spending the money on a tool, because you never know when you need it. And something like this, like right now I use the Polystar thread, bobbin thread. So, you know, maybe someday I'll, and of course sometimes, uh, maybe like I think it was like 100 at a time, 100 in a case. So, maybe every 10 or so bobbins, just check the tension, because sometimes, the factory runs out and they restart a new thread manufacturing when they respool everything, or they change the thread and it's a little different. It could be a little thicker, it could be a little thinner. You never know. So it's nice to have a gauge like this. And like I said earlier, this thing, if I had this, I wouldn't have already thrown away 3 shirts, because the shirts that I currently are embroidering on are textiles. So whether it's a t-shirt or a polo, they're 40 bucks. So like I said, already uh, threw away 3 of them, because the tension would be off, and the particular design that I was embroidering is very, depending on where it is on the pattern, it's very dense, uh, where I am running the risk of bird nesting underneath the underneath what you're embroidering. So that's what was happening. If you don't know what bird nesting is, it basically looks like this. And then if you're lucky, it'll just break the thread. But sometimes the bird nesting could be so dense, along with the needle having to go through your dense project. Sometimes the needle breaks, and sometimes what happens is that prior to the needle breaking, it'll try to push your whole work down through that little hole in the needle plate, and then it gets all tangled up, and you can't get it out because it's stuck between the presser foot, the needle plate, and it's sucked down in. And sometimes the only way to get it out is, unfortunately, you got to ruin the garment and chop it off. So when you chop it off, you're going to have a big hole in your shirt. So I already did that 3 times, uh, and so that's why I went on the quest of getting this tension gauge, because if I had it earlier, I would already be like $120 ahead from not wrecking shirts and stuff like that. So let's go over back to the machine, and we will do a little practice to see how well it's doing. So what I'll do is I'll go to the machine and I'll use its built-in lettering feature, and we're going to type in Fox, because that does all the motions of where the needle is going to go, and basically every direction. And we'll see how well it does. So let's go over to the machine and get it set up. Of course, sometimes I think YouTube doesn't like live streamers uh, going on their platform, especially with small channels, because just before I left, I see that it's not belly aching about they're not getting enough data. It's like, really? So here at the Brother machine, of course, if you don't know, this is the Brother PE900, and it's very similar to a lot of other machines, the 700, 800, and this is a 900, and stuff like that. It's basically the same monster. I think it all depends on some of the different parts and how well it can stitch and stuff like that. So we put our bobbin case in. If you don't know how to put the bobbin case in on a drop-in machine, the bobbin case has a little white arrow in it, and it lines up a little dot on the support plate here. So, like they said, it's always dropping. So the little forks goes toward the back of the machine, and it just literally just drops in. And just make sure that the little arrow is lined up with a little dot, and it's pretty much done. And then we'll put our plate back on. Otherwise, the machine complains that it knows that it's there. And of course, it does its little cycle of calibrating the arm here. So we will thread the bobbin case up. So on a Brother machine, it gives you all the arrows of how to thread this machine. So one little tip that I've learned from others is when you're threading this, just put your finger on it, just to give it a little back tension, and then feed it through, and that makes sure that thread gets in that little between the tension plates of the bobbin case. So that is that. So now we got to put some thread in the machine. So like I said, I use the Polystar thread. So this is the Polystar. This is a 50 weight. Doesn't really matter. I would imagine that the bobbin thread is 50 weight, but I really don't know. So we will thread the machine up, and of course, like the bobbin case, it shows you how to thread the machine. So we go down, up, over, and across, down to number 3, and then when you thread this part between 3 and 4, you bias it to the right, and then as you go over the top, you bias it to the left. So just a little tension toward the right. As you get to the top, then you bias it over to the left. And then we go through number 5, and then number 6 here, number 7, and then we go up and around here to the little cutter, and this particular cutter doesn't really cut very well. And then for whatever reason, my machine doesn't retrieve the needle all the way up to the top. And then we smash the auto threader, and then I got to reach in and pull the thread out. So that is ready. And then prior to this stream, I have already hooped up a piece of scrap fabric. So we will stick that in there and get that locked in. Well, that is ready to go. So now we'll go to our machine here, and we'll get the alphabet here. We're going to use a basic, simple lettering here. So number 1 is more than adequate. And we're going to do all capitals. So we're going to go F, O, and then we're going to do the next one here. Let's see. We're going to go like that, X. So we're going to stitch in Fox, and I already see that the needle ain't threading because it missed. So we'll make sure the needle is all the way up, and then we'll do it again. Make sure that is in there. That looks better. And that's sometimes what happens with these little guys. Sometimes the auto needle threader is most of the time it's a hit, but every once in a while it does miss. So we got our Fox in. So we're going to hit set, and that's what it's going to look like. So we can change the size, so it's a little much, so large. We'll go like that. It's good enough. Gives you guys a little chance to watch this thing work. And we're using the small, well, it doesn't really matter. We can use any of our hoops. So we got the big hoop, but it's not complaining. So we'll pretend it's on the small hoop. Doesn't really matter. It'll still stitch out without hitting anything. So we're done with that, and then we're going to hit embroidery. Ready to go. It's going to take about 4 minutes to stitch it out. So all we got to do is lower the pressure foot. Little green light comes on, and then all you got to do is push it, and we'll let it do its thing. And then after it's done, we will check it out and see how well it did. So, of course, this machine is capable of doing like 650 stitches a minute, but depending on what you're doing, you're not going to get that. So this is probably about the almost as slow as it goes. Of course, right here on the screen here, gives us our total stitches. So it's 1,203, and currently we're up to 280 stitches. Of course, I'm using black because it'll give us a very nice contrast of the white bobbin thread. So when it's done and then we flip it over, we can see how well it did. So here's an example of how I was struggling with the bobbin tension. And I was playing around with this thing and you just can't get it right. So we can see here, there's just way too much bobbin on the bottom side. And then I was tinkering around and now I got on the bottom half way too much top thread coming through. So it's a fine line of tension here. So here between the verticals, or the horizontals, I should say, it's pretty close, but it's still way off. So something like that is sort of, it's not ideal because when you look at it on the top side, you'll say to yourself, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, that's perfect, but it's not ideal. So and stuff like that. So this is one of the shirts that I ruined. It's actually a polo shirt. So it almost, yeah. Here's what happened when that tension is not right. So here's a piece of it that got pulled up through. So ruined it. So, $40 in the trash. But that is part of being an embroiderer, is that you are going to lose a garment every once in a while, even when everything is in perfect order. So this stuff's going to happen, and that's just the way it is. So what I was looking for is that, prior to having this tension gauge here, is a lot of my first project here, sometimes it takes, 15 to 20 minutes to do a single color. So, I would like to, walk away and not have to babysit this thing. So I would walk away thinking that everything was good. And then I would come back and it's all bunched up, or it broke the needle and it stopped stitching for whatever reason. And then, you got to stay here and babysit it. So I want to have it set up so you don't have to babysit it. Even though you really should, but like my design there, with the company logo and the patches on each sleeves there, it takes 3 hours to just to do one shirt. So that's 3 hours you just staring at this thing doing its thing. Because the time here, it gives you the time of how long it's going to stitch, and then you can do something for 15-20 minutes, do something else. So now it's done stitching, and it says it's all done. So now we can take it out and see how well it did for the first time. So this is perfect. So let's go back to the other camera and show you how well it did. So from what I've seen, this is excellent. This is something that, like I said earlier, you would have to basically trial and error it until you got it right. So here's what it looks like, and this is perfect. So, like I said, uh, when you do the Fox thing, it basically, gives you all your axes of what the needle is going to do, and you can clearly see, like here on the O, of course, the it's going in a circle here, so you can see that how the tension changes. So this is all top tension doing this. So it varies depending on what direction it's going in, and same thing with the F here. When it's doing the horizontal, it's a little different than the vertical. So this is all consistent, and when it did the X here, you can clearly see this is perfect. This bobbin thread. So this is basically what you're looking for with a good tension between the bobbin and the top thread. So, like they always say, the it's always at a war of each other. So you got the top thread pulling, you got the bottom thread pulling. So whoever is stronger is going to win. So, like if your bobbin thread is too tight, and that's what clearly it was earlier. My bobbin thread tension was in the high 30s. So, you could compensate with the top thread, but it's not really ideal to monkey around with the top thread tension. You can if you have to, and there are certain situations where you need to monkey around with the top tension. But ideally, you basically want to get your programming in your machine and basically get to work. So by default, the top tension is always a 4.0. So as you clearly seen, I didn't play with the top thread tension when I got the machine started. I just hit the green button and that was it. And so normally I would have to drop that tension down all the time to compensate, and I was always having to play with it because, as time goes on, you start getting the character of how your machine works and stuff like that. So I would always drop the tension and stuff like that to make sure it was as reliable as I could get it. But now that I got this, from time to time I can check the tension because one thing is with your bobbin case, it is a consumable item. So, you got thread running through two pieces of metal. Eventually it's going to wear and stuff like that. And from time to time you need to check it. So this is a great tool to have and stuff like that. And as we clearly see, now that I got my bobbin thread tension good, now I can do more projects without having to worry about wrecking stuff because, I've been doing t-shirts and polos, but I want to start getting into the heavier garments like your sweatshirts and your fleeces and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that the machine can be as reliable as possible without ruining stuff, so I got some heavier, like mock neck fleece shirts and stuff like that I want to embroider. I got some fleece jackets that I want to embroider, and you don't want to be ruining stuff like that because that heavier stuff's a little bit more money. Especially when you only got one that you're going to embroider. Like I got a North Face fleece jacket. We all seen the North Face fleece jackets. It's got the black top and your colored bottom. So, get the embroider on your right side because we all know that the North Face is on the left side. So you got one shot because you got one garment, and you don't want to be spending a couple $100 having a ruined garment and stuff like that. same thing. So I got a jacket, I got a vest, I got all the heavier sweatshirts I want to embroider. I got a couple of windbreakers and uh, rain jackets that I want to do, and they're Under Armour, so you want to be screwing up $100 garment, because you have to. If it's not too bad, and you might be able to salvage it and stuff like that. So that's one of those situations where something like that, you'll have to babysit it and make sure it doesn't screw up. Because if you're there and it screws up, you could stop the machine, and which I have done from time to time when it would break the thread or it would start doing weird things. You could hear it doing weird things. You could stop it and make sure, put the needle up and check underneath. Pop that hoop out, and it's like, yeah, it's screwed up underneath, and then correct it from there, and then it'll continue on where you left off. So very nice gadget to have. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but it's already, if I had it before, it would already paid for half of itself by now, or actually I should say over half. So I'm glad I have it, and of course if somebody is starting out like that, like I said earlier, there's no gauge, there's no number system where you monkey around with the bobbin case and stuff like that. So not much else to go over with this particular session here. We'll go back to last week's live stream where I was screwing around with this Rayovac flashlight slash torch that I modified to go from 2-cell D to 8.4 volt torch here, and I made it into a sleeper because I was too lazy to make the hole on the bottom of it with the charge board. So you can check out last week's stream if you haven't already seen from last week. There's the finished project. There's two 18650s jammed in here with a charge protection board and a charging board to step up the 5 volts to charging voltage of 2S or 8.4 volts. And showed the wonky little torch bulb that I got into this thing. Of course, staring at the camera, you don't really see it, but you can see the weird X pattern in this thing. Got a very bizarre beam pattern. Probably not the best bulb to put in this type because of the reflector and stuff like that. And I said next time I ordered something from Amazon that I was going to try a different bulb. And of course, there's not a lot of selection. There's basically like 2 bulbs that you can get. You can get this weird multi-dyed bulb. So this one's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 LED chips on it. So it's the side fires that give that weird reflection. So and stuff like that gives that weird pattern, which is not really ideal for a torch like this. So from the same brand, that weird that kind from the jungle site, I got a different kind of bulb, and this is really the last of the selection that that I can get for this wacky contraption that I got. So this is a replacement bulb for these torches where you can change out the incandescent to these guys. And I got to get a specific type because I tried that other Maglite thing there to that Maglite bulb, and that don't fit because you got to have this kind of base, the old school base that we're all familiar with, or I should say the older generation is familiar with. So this is another multi-voltage, and it's only got a single chip on the top. So we'll see how well that does. I'm already flash blinded. let's see what this little guy looks like. So it looks gives you that traditional flashlight look, where you got the beam in the middle, and then you got your flood type beam. So pretty cool. So that's a lot better than that other weird looking thing. So that's pretty cool. So probably in next week's stream, maybe we'll get the lumen tube out, and we'll do some lumen checks on these things. But in the meantime, we can go over and of course my keypad's not working. That's the only thing with OBS now, is that when the program runs too long, the keyboard stops, or I should say my keypad stops working. So I can't switch scenes without doing it manually through the app. So I will go to my Amazon where I bought this wacky thing, these wacky bulbs. Then I gotta go to remotely to the desktop. There we are. So here are the, it's from the same company that other wacky thing come from. So it's the, however you want to pronounce that, upgrade LED flashlight bulb, PE13.5S, whatever weird thing there. 6 to 24 volts. So flashlight bulb for your 6 volt, 9 volt, 12 volt, 18 volt, 19.2 volt type flashlights. And of course, this is also made for them Ryobis, your DeWalt, and stuff like that. Maglite bulbs. This particular one is non-polarity, just like the other one. So the tip can be positive, negative, or the barrel can be positive, negative. So. And let's see what else. I think this thing says what it's got for lumens. So this can work between 6 and 24 volts, 4 to 16 C or D cells. Easy to install. Yep, that's easy enough. Just drop in and be done with it. Warranty for 12 months. Yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Specifications. Socket. It's the P13.5S. Of course, it's multi-voltage, 6 to 24 volts. They keep changing the voltage here. It's 6,000 Kelvin for your color temperature. And supposedly, it's got 372 lumens. See, we'll find out about that in next week's stream, to see what the lumens between the really pathetic LED upgrade and the ones that I have now. So, like I showed in last week's stream there, once upon a time, this was a LED upgrade for for your flashlights, and it was just a multi-voltage driver chip or resistor chip or whatever, with 4 3mm cold white LEDs, and this particular one running in this torch, because it's not 3 volts, it flickers, which would trigger a lot of people. They would probably go into convulsions and probably die if they ever seen that. And then you've seen earlier that weird wacky beam pattern on this one here, and then I changed it to this single chip jobber. So we can store both of them in case we want to do something weird with it, but we'll stick with the single chip for now, because it seems to have the best beam pattern. And then we'll have to, like I said, do some lumen checks to see if it's anywhere near the claimed 372 lumens, because we know that Amazon and reviews and stuff like that is sometimes flawed. So, of course, YouTube is complaining again about buffering, but it's on their end because they suck. So, this stream's been going on for 56 minutes. So we'll end the show here. Of course, my buddy Pete never come on. He missed this stream, but he'll watch the replay. And anybody else who wanted to watch, and absolutely no viewers for this particular stream this Sunday, last week of July. Yeah, year's almost over. Of course, in a couple of weeks, and we're talking about a couple of weeks, it'll be time to thinking about Christmas and putting up the lights and what we're going to do different. And maybe we'll have something about that, and maybe we'll live stream putting up the tree or something like that. I don't know. Of course, like I said earlier, the remote camera doesn't go out very far, so I had to think something different. Stuff like that. So that's it for this particular live stream. We've had a nice successful correction of the embroidery machine, and maybe we'll have some more live streams of doing projects on the garments and stuff like that. So and of course playing with that torch there. So that's it for this particular live stream. Of course, since I don't have any live viewers, if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next live stream / video. Bye bye.